We're preparing live stream. And you may hear a double. We're preparing live stream. All right, I officially muted, but YouTube is officially live. That's great news. And then the final step, I'm just going to go live to our video platform. So we're 1 minute out from the start of our session, and we are just about to go live across the board.
Hi, this is Lulu. I'm just checking if the audio works. I think there's something wrong with my video.
I can hear your audio.
Okay, great. Thanks.
All right, we are just about there. 8:40, setting the video link. And okay, so you are good to go live whenever you are ready to go live.
All righty. I will jump into it. So I am Marshall Korn and lead our technical recruiting org here at ThousandEyes. Super excited for everyone to join us today. If you're listening to a replay, I'm happy that is happening as well. And really excited just to share more about ThousandEyes, give our outlook on diversity and some of the strategies that we've took on in the past couple of years, and really giving you a chance to see what the day-to-day on our product and engineering teams look like. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to ask them in the Fairstream chat. If it's something that we're able to answer, we'll get back to you right away on the chat. If not, we'll have Q&A sessions that will be able to respond to your questions or elaborate on those if you're looking for any additional context after the sessions end. In a second, I'll play a quick video to kick things off and just familiarize you with ThousandEyes and go from there.
You into digital experience ensures your network. Today's enterprises rely on a complex, interdependent web of internal and external digital services, including cloud, SaaS, and the internet, which exist outside of your traditional control perimeter. ThousandEyes provides a 360-degree view of your new hybrid digital ecosystem, combining internet and WAN visibility, browser synthetics, end-user monitoring, and internet insights. With internet and WAN visibility, you can see every network, including the internet, like it's your own, including hop-by-hop path visualization, end-to-end and detailed network metrics, BGP route visualization to ensure the stability and security of internet routes, and application server and DNS availability and performance. With browser synthetics, you can simulate users interacting with a website or application and see page load metrics, waterfalls, and application workflow experience, all tightly correlated with underlying network and internet connectivity. End-user monitoring deploys on employee devices, providing visibility into application experience via a browser plugin, underlying network connectivity, as well as synthetic network tests for VPN, network, and app troubleshooting. Internet Insights provides a global internet weather map showing ongoing and historical network outages around the globe, enabling you to drill down into the outages impacting you or your customers and see the exact parts of the service provider impacted, so you can escalate and negotiate effectively with external teams. Whether you're moving to the cloud, delivering a customer-facing application, or supporting a distributed workforce, ThousandEyes' comprehensive view into digital experience ensures your network, application, and cloud teams have a common operating language to quickly identify issues and optimize performance, so you and your business can truly thrive in a connected world.
All right. I hope the video worked for everyone. So just kind of kicking things off again. My name is Marshall and lead our technical recruiting team. Once my session is done, I'll kick it off to America, who will go over some of our office and culture kind of environment. Alrighty. So in terms of ThousandEyes, the video that played hopefully paints a decent picture of what exactly we do. We like to use the analogy Google Maps of the internet. So if you can envision kind of a map or traffic of the internet, understanding kind of the underlying network layer, being able to help predict and see outages as they occur, as an accident would occur or a slowdown. You're able to see kind of exactly the appropriate route for that network traffic. And I'm not technical myself, but I know that Mike and Lulu will jump into it a bit more in terms of exactly what we do. At a high level, we're about 960 employees today. We were acquired by Cisco in 2020. So we've seen about 95% company growth in the past 2 years, which is awesome. So around the time of acquisition, we're actually in the low 300s employees. And this growth has been across the board. So engineering, product, infosec, marketing, sales, there's no one area that's really lagged behind, and we've been growing and accelerating as a business. In terms of our customer base, so you can see the list here. We work with some of the biggest companies in the world and supporting them. 10 of the 10 top US banks is awesome. I think I get the question all the time, really kind of who our clients are, who we're supporting, and really it's anyone who utilizes the internet. So in the healthcare space, in the e-com space, in the financial sector, again, those companies are relying on the internet on a daily basis to help transact or keep patient records. And so really that's kind of who we're focused on as a whole. And I think the last piece is having a globally distributed workforce. So America will get into this a bit, but we recently acquired a company called Code BGP, and they're based out of Greece. We have offices internationally in London and Portugal, in Spain, and then America will kind of cover the hubs that we have in the US. So we're a globally distributed company, and are able to support partners really across the world. In terms of diversity and inclusion, it's definitely an important topic to us at ThousandEyes. It's an important topic to Cisco as a whole. And there have been a lot of strides, especially in the past 3 years, that Cisco has taken to help support these initiatives. So I'll cover a couple today, and really kind of why it's important to us. I think, before jumping in, it's about not only diversity and inclusion and support internally, but externally as well. And if you have a holistic view, you're able to support partners that work with us at ThousandEyes or Cisco. You're able to support employees, and really kind of looking at it to provide opportunity across the board, and not just segmenting it to one group or another. And so we really see inclusion as a way to connect diverse perspectives. Some of these are kind of jargony words, and so I think really dialing it down, it's about being able to get a diverse set of individuals who have different backgrounds, come from different places, view the world differently, and the ability for us to plug everyone together really helps spark innovation, creativity, and adds to that really diversity and diverse set of perspectives that, one, we're able to come up with better, more exciting ideas, support different groups, and really kind of inspire the ability to support our partners who in some areas could be kind of critically life-saving events, and can't afford for their networks to go down and to not have service, whether it's security, again, kind of in the healthcare space, even some financial industry transactions that we're able to help support that help reduce or minimize fraud. And so our, again, goal is to support those diverse groups through our partners, through our suppliers, and of course, through our employee base. And I think taking that one step further, the ability to kind of create that culture that brings everyone together, as kind of I'd mentioned, and being able to drive that change, being able to be outspoken. And I think some of the actions that we've taken overall as ThousandEyes and as Cisco really are focused on social justice and diversity. And so I think there's a couple of groups within here that really support internal employees, such as employee resource groups across the board. I think there's nothing that Cisco has or doesn't have, I should say, that isn't there to kind of support their employee base, make them feel welcomed. And it's not only kind of getting in the door, but throughout your entire journey at ThousandEyes and at Cisco. We're partnered up with different universities and schools and really committing to HBCUs. And that includes a program that Cisco started that ThousandEyes has taken the initiative and joining forces with, which is the 110 program, and partnering up with underrepresented communities and HBCUs and really being able to bring in African-American talent that is coming out of some of these HBCUs and some programs that might have had oversight from other companies. And so really making that a priority for us to continue to accelerate inclusivity. I think a big one across the board is expanding fair pay. There have been a lot of programs and legalities that have come out recently. We definitely share all of our ranges in terms of salary and compensation on our website. We also have a broader Cisco group now that is focused on being able to promote fair pay, being able to point out when pay is not fair, and continuing to make things right across the board. And then we also are partnered up with different community partnerships. So Fairstream is one of the partners that we have. We've also partnered up with different networking events, volunteering. I know the CEO of Cisco has been in different legislative meetings to help push the needle forward and move the needle, and really advocate for fairness in all of these groups and social justice and diversity more broadly. So it's a big focus from the very top to every group segmented within Cisco, and then at ThousandEyes. I know it's been a huge topic over the past couple of years, and accelerating the inclusivity and diversity and representation across the board. And then the last piece, I think, is just getting to know our technology stack. And so again, throughout this presentation, you'll hear more about what the day-to-day looks like on engineering and product, really kind of what we look for, why Mike and Lulu joined ThousandEyes and what keeps them interested. And so just at a high level on the technology side, we're hiring across the board. So design, analytics, product managers, research, kind of on the product side. And again, we're kind of a B2B business. We're open to all backgrounds and being able to support employees coming in, being able to help kind of accelerate career growth there. On the engineering side, similarly, we hire for pretty much everything across the board. I think our tech stack varies based on the team. So typically a kind of Java-based company. We use Vue as our JavaScript framework of choice on the front end. And then we're working in AWS primarily. But as you can see, our data engineering team kind of varies and uses Python, and then Kafka for data streaming. We also have our SRE team that is more embedded in kind of infrastructure as code and Linux, and then Python as well. So again, the tech stack that we utilize varies, and open to everything as it comes to kind of learning and coming on board and being able to help kind of pick up new skill sets. And with that, I'll go ahead and pass it off to America, who will kind of go over the office and culture. You might be muted, America.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Perfect.
Yeah, okay, great. Sorry about that. Hi, everyone. I'm America. I'm so happy to be here with you all today to share a little bit more about ThousandEyes, our culture, and our offices. ThousandEyes has recently embraced more of a hybrid work model with some of its teams, engineering actually being one of them. This has really helped foster creativity and has made for some great collaboration, not only within teams, but also just made cross-functional teamwork a lot easier. There is, of course, still some teams that are fully remote and a mix of both, such as product. We do offer accommodations on a case-by-case scenario for teams and individuals, just wherever needed or available. I want to say that with the frequency of social events, office parties, and just the overall energetic environment in the office, it has made it really enjoyable for the teams to embrace the hybrid model. While there's still a lot of great work being done, the office atmosphere is very casual and relaxed. In the office, there is a lot of like open common spaces for spontaneous brainstorming sessions over some coffee. If coffee is not your thing, we've got tea, juice, soda, whatever you'd like. And in this slide, you can actually see some of the events that we've hosted at our offices. So we have 3 main offices in the US. We have San Francisco, where we're headquartered, Seattle, and Austin, Texas. A lot of the offices have some of the same perks, such as like daily breakfast or lunch. SF in Austin, Texas have free snacks, free parking, quarterly gatherings. You can see some of the events here on the slides. Like in the middle there is our last kickoff from last year. Our team has grown since then, so we'll see if we can get everybody in one picture this year. We've also got like the Crab Fest that Austin, Texas had a couple months ago on the bottom left, some lunch on that San Francisco had as well, and then our Seattle team on there that went out to have some lunch. And then the next slide here. Next, I'd like for you to meet our talent acquisition team. These are the wonderful folks that will be working with you step by step, from the very initial conversation to making sure the opportunity is right for you, to hopefully getting you to offer stage, and then even beyond that, helping you get set up for a successful first day at ThousandEyes. Highly encourage you to connect with ThousandEyes through Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, and of course, LinkedIn, to stay up to date, with the latest that we are working on, the new open opportunities, and also just connect with the talent acquisition team as well. We've had some of them on the call right now, such as Gwen, Stephen, Marshall, and then just connecting with ThousandEyes overall. And that's all for me. Now I'd like to hand it over to one of our best senior product managers, Lulu, to go over a little bit about the product and the day in the life of a product manager here at ThousandEyes.
Oh, thanks, America. Really appreciate it. Hi, everybody. My name is Lulu. I'm a senior product manager for the browser synthetics product area. I've been at ThousandEyes for about 1.5 years now, and I'm based in the San Francisco office, so can speak to the lunches and the office events. They're quite fun, and everybody's like always willing to hang out. Previously, I lived in New York for about 8 years, and then I grew up in Toronto. Outside of work, I really enjoy hiking, traveling, and trying out new recipes that I find on Instagram. And just a little bit about my career. I started out in technology consulting at KPMG, and then I've had previous product roles at small but growing tech companies like Alice Hospitality, Flashpoint for cyber threat intelligence, and then most previously Lightstep, which is part of ServiceNow. All right, so to tell you a little bit more about what ThousandEyes does and to try to make it a little bit more real, our mission is to see, understand, and improve connected digital experiences everywhere. So that might sound pretty grand, and what does that mean? Well, the story that we like to tell in product is that back in the original days of ThousandEyes, our founders, Mohit and Ricardo, used to work in this office space. And every day at 6 o'clock, the lights would turn off. And what they would have to do is they would have to call the building maintenance people to say, hey, we need you guys to turn the lights back on so we can continue working. That was back in the startup days. But they would have to do that every day. And so our ingenious CTO, Ricardo, had written a script to kind of automate this, calling the Twilio API. What that means is automatically every day at around 6 o'clock, the script would run and it would kick off this call to the Twilio API, and the Twilio API would call the building maintenance people to turn the lights back on. And it worked. So it worked for a couple weeks, and then all of a sudden it didn't. So the team was trying to figure out, like, oh, what happened to the script? Like, why isn't it turning back on again? And so while Ricardo was troubleshooting the script, it turns out that Twilio is hosted on AWS, and AWS, which is Amazon Web Services, they were having an outage in their US East 1 region. And that was the reason why Ricardo's script wasn't working. So if you think about how our businesses operate these days, anything that you create, whether it's serving customers or serving your employees, they depend on other services that other companies also provide. And it's a chain of interconnections that you all have to understand and understand if it's up or not to really be able to have control over the reliability of your software. And so we want to make that easy and for you to be able to see that regardless of whether you wrote the code and manage the infrastructure or not. So if you go to the next slide, that could be in a couple of different places, right? That could be a customer-facing application that you as a business, our customers as a business might run. And that could be something like an e-commerce company that has a checkout flow, and you want to make sure that that's always up and running so that people can buy things and check out, because that's what your business runs on. It could be being able to run the applications that you use every day to go to work, especially in this remote and hybrid world. That could be making sure that your Microsoft Teams is always running, or that your WebEx is up, or this Zoom call is working as expected, and there's not any disruptions there, so that all of your employees can effectively do their jobs. This could also look like managing your network infrastructure. So making sure that you have really good internet connectivity between your branch offices and your headquartered locations, and that folks, even if they're working remotely, can access your internal networks or VPNs, things like that. So there's a lot of different pieces where we try to provide that visibility, but also allow you to look a little bit deeper if you need to troubleshoot any particular issue. All right. And so wanted to also give you a quick sense of what are some cool roadmap initiatives. Our founders, Mohit and Ricardo, come from a research background, so they're always pushing us to think about things that are on the forefront of technology and how we might apply them to ThousandEyes and how we serve customers. And so we have some initiatives around event-driven anomaly detection. So it's useful to get a lot of data out of our tool, but how can we summarize it in a way that tells you about the events that are happening rather than the like low-level details? And then also maybe suggest some root causes for what are the events that are happening that can affect your business or your software from operating properly. We're also looking into closed loop automation. That means if you see that something is happening, there's an issue, there's an outage, can we make it as simple as possible for you to fix that issue? And maybe as simple as clicking just one button if it's like a very well understood kind of outage. So that's kind of what closed loop automation means. As many of you may or may not know, ChatGPT is a big thing, and chat interfaces. And so we're also thinking about like how do we effectively provide chat interfaces in a way that makes sense for the kinds of data or the types of problems that our customers may be running into. We're also thinking a lot about our mission and network assurance and how do we add additional data sets to give you even more clarity in specific situations or help identify those issues faster. And then we also have a lot of initiatives in thinking about how do we improve the user experience? How do we make things a little bit more intuitive, a little bit more discoverable, and lots of kind of R&D work there as well. So next slide. Yeah, and so wanted to kind of tell you a little bit about what it means to be a product manager at ThousandEyes. So on a daily basis, I'm connecting with individuals from all over the company. That's from like my core team beside me, which is design and engineering, but also with our go-to-market teams. So that's anybody helping a customer, whether that be sales before they sign a customer signs a deal, or customer success for those that are helping customers after they sign a deal. And then also support and our documentation teams, our analytics teams. I'm probably one of those people that have met at least one person from every team across the company. I also, like I said, work alongside with design and engineering to make sure that key decisions are aligned with the broader context and the broader business goals and customer goals that we might have. I also support the engineering team and escalations. So if there's any customers that have a really important issue, I'm always there beside my engineering team as well to help out. And then as a product manager, maybe the most exciting and challenging piece is to define scope and phase out new initiatives to consistently be improving our product. And that has to do with also driving the product process from discovery to definition to development and adoption, and making sure that everybody is aligned along the way. What we're trying to do is prevent this cartoon in the corner here where everybody has like a slightly different view of what needs to happen. Our jobs are really to make sure everybody has the same view consistently throughout the entire product development process. And so next slide. Wanted to give you a sense of like what my typical week looks like. This was actually my week like 3 weeks ago, condensed down. And so you can see I'm meeting with a lot of folks. On Monday, I was meeting with the designer, helping engineering navigate a blocker, staying up to date on kind of internal conversations, and then kind of writing and thinking through a new initiative. On Tuesday, I was meeting with a couple other folks like analytics, a customer on some feedback, and talking through like how do we think about a new initiative, or how do we think through some risks to a possible way of doing things. Wednesday was just thinking with all of the product managers, meeting with the squads, kind of gathering information from all different places and answering questions also for our field teams, and just always constantly updating the specifications that I'm writing, making sure that it's clear. And if anybody needs to know what's going on with this initiative, they can always find it. Thursday was like a lot of collaboration with a new team member. We have a product intern that we're supporting, and he's been doing great at helping us with our upcoming releases. I did a quick demo for the sales team and like iterated on some of my plans for this one initiative. And then Friday, I was meeting with my engineering manager to talk about how do we improve the team process, giving some feedback in the team demos, coming up with some new blogs to talk about what we're doing, and then iterating on our go-to-market plan, which is like working with the customer-facing teams. So as you can see, it's a lot of different things that you're doing on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. But all of it has to do with making sure that everybody kind of knows how the project is going to go. So I think of it like, oh, I'm the conductor for all of the things that need to happen. And maybe I don't play the flute best, or like can't play a violin, but I'm helping everybody keep time and making sure that we're kind of expressing the music as needed. So yeah. And then lastly, I wanted to talk about in the next slide, just kind of some of the reasons that I really love my role at ThousandEyes. I think ThousandEyes has a really strong product strategy, and so it's really rewarding as a product manager to contribute to that. We do something that's pretty unique in the market, and so it's really cool to hear from our customers kind of how much they love using our tool, how much visibility we give them that they wouldn't have otherwise been able to see, and also love learning kind of what are the problems that they are running into and how can we help them in the future do some of the things that they want to do better. One of my favorite parts of working at ThousandEyes is all of the great, like smart, collaborative people that I get to work with. I think this is like the most collaborative company that I've been at, and everybody's always willing to help. And you never feel like you have to do anything alone. There's always somebody there to support you and bounce off ideas and think together. And also, I really love our hack days, both as a participant. We do hack days, I think, like once a year, and everybody at the company is encouraged to just for that one day work together, work with people that you haven't met before, to work on a new project or something that you're interested in. And I love that both as a participant to try to meet new people across the company, but also as a product manager to get inspiration for some of the things that we could be doing in the product as we go forward. So yeah, that's my section. Happy to take any questions at the end, but I think Mike, you're up next to talk about engineering.
Thank you, Lulu. That awesome overview of our product. Let's talk about things a little bit from the engineering side. So my name is Mike Udelhofen. I am a senior software engineering manager here. I run a team called the UI platform team. So we are an engineering team for user interfaces that run across our whole application. So basically we're a platform team. This means we partner with every team that has a front end to enable things like visual consistency, ease of use, ease of development, and opportunities for our customers to engage and love our product more at every stage than the previous one. So I've been with ThousandEyes since November of 2022. I live out here in Seattle, Washington. I'm also the site lead for our office. And outside of work, I enjoy being outside of work physically. So do a lot of bicycling, canoeing, camping around the Northwest, some music stuff, and working on an old house. But let's talk about ThousandEyes a little bit more. My path here, if you hit the next slide, just to walk you through kind of my trajectory of finding the best job that I've ever had. So I started my dev career as an IC, kind of doing front end and full stack engineering for a few different companies, learned a lot of examples on how to run a team, how not to run a team, working collaboratively across different teams, building healthy culture, adult work, adult working habits, etc. So, for example, things about how to run a team like sprints and agile are great. Every team is going to have their own flavor. Retros are great. Check in with each other. Use it to drive continuous improvement. Things that are not good, don't follow your employees into the restroom to ask them questions. You can ask me later about the CTO I worked for who did this. So next, I scaled up my career a bit. Joined an ad tech startup. So this is a great big growth opportunity for me personally. Lined up well with the company's timeline, kind of scaled my career as the company scaled in parallel. So I joined as the third engineer in Seattle. We had a crappy warehouse space with no air conditioning, and kind of I got to help grow into a management role, grow that to 35 employees locally. Learned a ton about kind of how to build teams, building culture, internal processes, things like management and hiring. Learned how to navigate rapid expansion and being acquired, which has helped in ThousandEyes days, and also got really good at ping pong. So next, after that, I came and worked at a more established real estate tech company. It's publicly listed on the stock exchange, which was a wild experience. I learned basically new answers to all the questions that we were trying to solve at the startup, but how to do them more legitimately. So it was very humbling, an awesome experience. And yeah, basically took all the things that I thought we were doing right in the prior stage and improved on them. So from there, I found my way to ThousandEyes, which was really the opportunity to synthesize everything that I've learned so far. So, how to step back from the day-to-day is kind of what I'm working on now, how to grow other leaders, how to get my manager to kind of see my organization as its own unit of the business and invest in it accordingly. And then some other fun stuff like what metrics to track, what's important, and the importance of mentorship. So yeah, from here, my North Star has always been building delightful products. So always worked on products that are used every day by people who need to use this piece of software to get something done. So think about the stuff that you use every day. Those experiences should be intuitive and easy. You should enjoy it. It shouldn't be a pain. So I've always kind of brought this mentality to work, all about simplifying complex workflows, looking at a table full of analytics data. How do you use this? Using a computer to buy a house, kind of translating this experience into how to visualize the internet easier and make it easier for engineers to debug issues that they're having with it. So always been focused on the 4 Ps. I said people, product, process, and technology. And the P is silent on that last one. Next slide, talk a little bit more about my path here. So why I joined ThousandEyes, what made this organization so special. It's first of all, great to join a winning team. So ThousandEyes is established. We're an industry leader in our space. Customers already use us. They love it. It makes my job a whole lot easier and a lot more fun to kind of have this established customer base, this momentum. It's really cool. However, there's still no shortage of challenges. So it's pretty hard to visualize the entire internet in the window of a web browser. So, a typical network request can make like over 100 hops in the path that it takes to grab some information and come back to your computer. So this is pretty hard to display on a chart. So it's just one of the things that's been tough to solve and gives me a lot of energy in being here. So additionally, since the acquisition, we've had explosive customer growth, which really means that we've had to make the platform easier for everybody to use if we want to continue to scale and not burn out our lovely account reps who work with our customers directly. So it's kind of resonated with me a lot on making software more intuitive, making it simple and easy. People-wise, it really is a phenomenal group of people here. So you've heard from some of our best, but there's about 985 more on the other side of this browser in a great Slack channel. So I don't put this lightly. These are the best people that I've worked with in my career. And then lastly, positioning. So again, with the growth that we've experienced, it's really a huge opportunity, for everybody who's involved at ThousandEyes. Myself, I get to kind of grow and lead brand new teams to support the growth of our organization. Everybody on every team really is encouraged to own what they're working on and bring value to the product and kind of use that to bolster the things that they want to learn, the things that they want to get out of work. So it's been really cool. I'm very confident that ThousandEyes can continue to provide the opportunity for me and for everybody around me to keep doing our best and making it worthwhile. So next, we're going to talk about just a couple of the cool things that I've gotten to work with in my short time here. So one, our design system. Engineers, you may be familiar with the concept of a design system, designers as well, product folks. So this is basically like a component library, that's used across design, engineering, product to keep from having to rebuild, the core components of our UI. I got to take this and, it's more or less an internal open source project and build a team around it. So just an example of some of like the bolstering of all the stuff that we have going on at ThousandEyes, the continuous improvement that we still have to go. Next, I got to launch a next gen experience for creating tests. So basically a test is the, bread and butter of the ThousandEyes product. Tests, any 2 points of the network trace and make sure that things are working. Basically, some users found that we had too many knobs, right? We had to simplify the product. So we took it and we simplified it. It's now being used by hundreds of customers to make their lives easier. We're looking at expanding it more widely across ThousandEyes. It's where I get to work with Lulu, which is awesome as we're bringing it to some of her product areas. So super fun stuff. And then Hack Day on here. So you heard a little about our Hack Day. Hack Day was great. I got to build, with a fantastic supportive team of front-end devs, basically this internal tool to intelligently, boost visual consistency. So it kind of searches the entire repo, finds raw CSS values and recommends variables from our design system to replace them with. I produced an entirely unhinged demo video for this, which was very fun. And as you can see, Lord of the Rings themed. So it was called JRR Tokens. Really great, a lot of fun there. Thank you for ThousandEyes and supporting me and kind of letting this one run wild. So cool stuff I've worked on. Part 2, more cool stuff at ThousandEyes. So I got the opportunity to launch the tech interviewing working group here, which is basically a group of volunteers. We meet weekly and we're making sure that the interview experience is equitable for all people who are interviewing, kind of tweaking our internal processes to make sure that we're fair and unbiased, and things like how we ask questions, how we wait for responses, how we assess responses, and then making sure that it scales for interviewers. Again, we're growing super fast. Had a ton of people join our org in the last, 6 to 9 months. So, how do we get more people on board to support this growth in interviewing? And outside of this, I saw some people asking about team meetups in the chat. We do on-sites, so some individual teams will do on-sites. I got the opportunity to run 2 of them so far. We focused on like big picture conversations, bringing together people from the US and EU. Normally we're working together over Slack and over WebEx. So it's really nice to be in person, kind of on the whiteboard, talking about our visions, our missions, our charters for these teams, meeting in real life for the first time. I sent them on a scavenger hunt around the city to do weird stuff and take pictures and solve riddles. We also volunteered with the SF Botanical Garden, and we're called, I quote, one of the most productive teams to ever volunteer here, which was great, just speaking more to ThousandEyes excellence of the people here in and out of the workplace. We went to a baseball game. I got to take 2 international coworkers to their first MLB game, which was pretty neat. And then we had a bunch of kind of general team hangouts, breakfast, lunches, dinners, whatnot, just experiencing the in-personness for a hybrid workforce. So next, I'll talk a little bit about the day in the life of an engineer. This varies a lot by team, but this is kind of our core here, our bread and butter. So we are primarily a hybrid workplace now. Our hubs, as we mentioned, are SF, Austin, Seattle, London, and Lisbon. Most teams are running here on agile 2-week sprints. So, stand-ups, sprint planning, backlog refinement, retros, demos, kind of all of the traditional agile scrum ceremony type of stuff. Helps us to operate smoothly. We do have a TPM team, technical product management, who kind of helps us out with sort of keeping all these processes in line from team to team. Other things you may encounter as an engineer, pair programming sessions with teammates. So my teams typically do group group programming sessions, sometime between once a day and once a week, some amount of time each week. You're going to have cross-functional meetings with other teams and similar functions. So for example, I'm part of a front-end guild where it's just like all the front-end devs, and we all get together, for an hour every other week and talk about the big front-end stuff that's coming up. So new libraries coming out, changes that we have impacting, the whole front-end architecture, ideas that we have, things that we want to vent about JavaScript evaluating things strangely. Yeah, really good. There's a bunch of different meetings and groups cross-functionally that happen here. So lunch, many offices have lunch in the office. SF is crazy. It's really good, like awesome, phenomenal food. I'm jealous that I don't live there. And aside from that, it's really coding. We have a meeting late culture. We really want to clear the path for engineers to do what they do best, which is to write code. So next slide. This is kind of a high level overview of our department. Some of these team names may make sense, some may not. I'm not going to go into all the individual charters of each of these, but you can kind of see them as grouped into 3 core areas. So one is going to be feature teams, which are aligned with our core product verticals. So essentially each is responsible for building a product to monitor a different section of the path of a network request. So we've got cloud and enterprise agents, internet insights, WAN insights, endpoint, and browser synthetics. Platform teams, which are cross-platform functionality that's consumed by these teams. So, things like auth, like billing, data visualization, building component libraries, etc. This is where my teams live. We think it's great. It's really fun to interface across everybody and still have kind of a downstream impact on the user. And then internal teams, which are really the critical infra and team processes that allow all the teams above to do what they have to do. So folks like data engineering, engineering effectiveness, this is kind of a developer experience type group, observability, production systems, kind of keeping our databases and internal infra alive, and then program management, which is our technical product managers and program managers, keeping everything running smoothly across the org. So I want to wrap up by talking a little bit about what that makes ThousandEyes different from the other places that are out there. So one, we move like a startup, but with the stability and corporate backing of one of the world's largest and most established tech companies. So I see this as a best of both worlds. We've actually picked up 3 acquisitions, I believe, in the time that I've been here, which is pretty crazy if you think about it, for like a startup, very rare for an acquired company. So we've acquired a couple of companies that were out there privately, and then we've also pulled in a few business groups within Cisco who aligned with ThousandEyes mission and kind of pairing up to make a better thing. So just shows like the stability of what we have, and that really the sky's the limit in terms of what we're growing and building here. So 2, there's a hardware and like a real life component, right? So our hardware ships on the servers that run the majority of the internet. It's pretty cool. What we're working on is real, it's tangible, and it's making a huge impact on the lives of our customers. It may be impacting you at home there. Like these companies are using ThousandEyes to make sure that your internet is running as it should be, right? And to help diagnose outages. So it's really neat to have that, like we are connected to the global internet, right? So phenomenal people, I've talked about them, healthy work-life balance and great retention. So we really do pride ourselves on creating a place where people want to work. It is your choice where you want to work, right? And we want to make sure that you want to be showing up here. Yeah, it's pretty fun. I don't know, I think it's great. We have awesome work-life balance. Like there's so many people here who've been around for a long time. It's just really neat to see that when you stepping into a company on day one and the folks around you are like, oh, I've been here 8 years, 10 years, 5 years, it's really, really cool. And then last is the impact and opportunities. So talked about this a bit earlier, but really everybody can bring value to the company at this stage. We really, we're open to new ideas in the product. We have rituals like Hack Day for this, right? And we really do create a positive impact on our users. and everybody has the opportunity to build a career out of it. So with the size that we're at and the speed that we move, the direction that we want to go with our roadmap and the way that we work really all support this. So ThousandEyes has been an awesome place for me to work. I fully trust that it will continue to be. It's a great place to truly find your potential, to create an opportunity to own within the company, and to take your job and make it into a career. So thank you all. I know we're fielding questions in the comments. Thanks for listening to each of us. I think questions is next.
Thanks, Mike. Curious, kind of following up on the Q&A, if there's any questions out there that have not been asked yet, or anything that we were not able to get through during the sessions.
I think that there's a lot of interest for Lulu, for you to speak a little bit more about your experience as a woman in tech. Specifically, we shared back that you're part of the ERG, but if you could talk a little bit about what that means to you in terms of your career.
Yeah, I think, it can be really challenging, but I found that at ThousandEyes, folks are really supportive, and you're not really treated any differently. We do have a lot of actually female product managers on the product team. And actually the engineering manager that I work with pretty closely is also a woman in tech. And it's like, I feel like your merit here is just easier to get across. Like, it's easier to talk about how you've contributed and for people to see that in your work. So I really appreciate that part of being at ThousandEyes. And I also wanted to mention that as part of Cisco, there's a Women in Cisco group, and they do a really amazing executive shadow program where you get to shadow executives from all across Cisco and the different business units. And that's also been a really amazing experience for me to see like other people in leadership positions and how they approach it.
That's great feedback. Another big question that's coming in is if somebody has experience working in another sector, let's say bio or pharma or entertainment, is there an opportunity to apply and be hired with ThousandEyes?
Yeah, I think generally the answer is yes. So it really for us, we look at kind of the overall experience and not necessarily in a specific industry. We have a lot of diverse backgrounds, and that kind of points back to our kind of diversity initiatives and inclusivity. And even on this call, right, I'm not in a technical role myself. I worked at a healthcare company previously. I worked at a streaming company. And so there are a few roles kind of that are ingrained in networking specifically. And I know for the vast majority of our positions, we don't look at industry specific experience. We look at relevant skill set and kind of the qualifications and skills that are being brought to the table. I don't know if anyone else, Mike or Lula or anyone has anything to add there.
No, I could add a little on the engineering side. Mike can expand on that if you want, but oftentimes on the software engineering side, we really look for folks that have worked, some of our engineering teams work with a lot of data streaming or these large distributed systems. And if you've kind of worked on those types of things, no matter the industry, that's a huge plus. Or, if you've kind of worked on projects from start to finish and done everything from requirements gathering and architecture and kind of building that out to, deploying the application and kind of seeing that through from start to finish, that's another huge plus as well that we look for on the software engineering side. So yeah, those types of things kind of go across all industries for sure.
Yeah, I'll echo it. And, we do really value folks with diverse perspectives from different backgrounds. We've hired a lot of folks from, non-traditional engineering backgrounds as well. Yeah, I think it's great. It's more about the, passion that you have for what you're doing. The commitment to showing us that you want to do it, and that you can. And we do give opportunities for folks, with the outside of the traditional like CS path, to show us what they've got.
Yeah, and just wanted to echo what Mike said. Actually, we were just talking about it in a recent team on site. A bunch of our engineers have like research backgrounds, like either in bio research or just like have done other things. And I think that it also helps make them better engineers as well, to think like more holistically. And so definitely appreciate those diverse perspectives.
That's all really great feedback. One additional element, we have a number of people who've served in the armed services and military who are on, and there are a number of questions coming up asking about how they can talk about their experience in serving and apply it to the commercial sector. So any thoughts or insights on how to navigate that conversation to help them show to you they have the capacity to do the work?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think a lot of the day-to-day skills in the armed forces are somewhat relatable to kind of the workforce. And so I think when it comes down to it, we look at communication, work ethic, ability to solve complex problems, the ability to work hard and be diligent. And so I think in a lot of those kind of non-technical areas, the ability to elaborate on certain initiatives that they might have had in the past. If they are looking to go into a more technical role and don't have a technical background, being able to show, here is something that I didn't know how to do in the past. Here's something that I was maybe afraid of. Here's something that I accomplished that I did really well that I had no knowledge of before. And so being able to paint that picture of, this is my history, and even though there may not be 100% overlap, this is what I've done to overcome it in the past, and just really emphasizing that. And I would also say, if there's been any crossover from any type of role that you're looking to engage in moving forward in your career, being able to think of specific instances, even though you might not have been on the networking team or engineering team within the armed forces, have you collaborated with them in any way? And if so, kind of what did you learn from that? And so I think when kind of making that transition from one industry, one field, one path to the next, it's really showing about or all about kind of the skills that you've been able to pick up and how you're able to relate those to what the job is at hand. And so I think just kind of pointing back there, and even kind of taking it one step further, for myself, the first job that I had out of college was selling plastic. And so it's completely unrelated to the industry that I'm in today. And so again, not comparing that apples to apples, but just saying that with confidence, knowing that you're able to take your skills that you've gained from one role, one experience, and it's translatable to the next. And so if you're diligent, I know that the market or industry at certain times might be tough to break into. But I think as long as you have those experiences and are able to work on picking up new skills while you're searching for a job, employers will see, you're very serious about making that change, and you're able to show that to them.
And I'd like to add to that, Marshall. So I would say that, we definitely acknowledge and appreciate that while the job title listed on your resume, in the serving, your time in the armed forces may not match up 100% by any means, but we definitely still appreciate, the fact that you're applying. That's not something that we're overlooking, right? We're actually, in fact, looking at it even more closely, and definitely open to those conversations to, just to see if there's a great match there.
Yeah. And there are a lot of folks that do tech and IT in the military. And I've talked to a number of those folks, and that stuff is super valuable and really crazy experience, because if you're setting up systems, in the military, they have to be online because otherwise people's safety is at risk and stuff like that. So I've definitely talked to folks specifically like in the system administration type field that had done tech in the military, and, amazing candidates, because, you learn a lot of stuff really quickly for that.
This is great. There's a lot of follow-up questions from this, and I'm trying to consolidate them down. But another similar one that seems to be coming up is about making the switch from one career path to another. So from tech support to engineering, or from customer success to product. Any tips for how to navigate that, and any resources that you'd recommend for people that are growing their careers in that way?
Mike or Lulu, do one of you want to take that?
Sure. Yeah, I can start with my ideas, and Lulu, feel free to follow up. Yeah, we've seen a lot of folks do it. I've got a couple of folks on my teams, one who was a teacher previously, and another who was a designer who made the swap to engineering. So I think the things that we see in the folks who are successful in doing this is that they've committed to it and found a way to get the experience. I know it's tough out there in the job market. It's tough to feel like your resume is in a stack, right? And like you don't have that experience yet. But like, how can you dig and show us that you're interested and passionate in what you're doing? For engineers, we'd love to see like side projects, folks who've gone out and like, hey, I thought I wanted to try, dev and building a web app. So I built an app around this idea that I had, or, I contributed to an open source project. Like GitHub is out there. It's an awesome platform for this. It exists. Like build some projects, try it out, get experience, like show us what you can do with it. So yeah, you may have to get a little creative and flexible with this, but I've seen folks like go to meetups in their cities or online, like meet other people who want to build a project with them, just try something out and hack on it, and, learn the skills, and kind of take it from there. And I'll say, aside from that, there's a lot of great like bootcamp programs that are out there these days, which don't require a 4 years and a CS degree to get into. So we do see a lot of folks transitioning over to tech roles, and product and design as well, I should say, through these kind of bootcamp programs that are going to be like a crash course. So yeah, I've seen folks like invest in that as an opportunity, something to pursue, and a lot of them do kind of work with like placement into the industry as well. So there's some avenues out there. It may feel like an uphill battle, but it's totally been done. And we love to see it, honestly, because I think it's really cool to see the people who've like taken the initiative to change their career, to do something different, and have kind of found the path to go out and do it.
Yeah, I totally agree, Mike. Like even on my team, there's a couple of folks that have like transitioned via a boot camp, and they're doing really, really well. For the product side, like it's great to also show the passion, and try to kind of do some of that product work either in your current role or on the side. You could like write up a blog and like do a product review and like talk through how you're thinking about it. Or we actually have this role on the product team called Product Solutions Architects, which is kind of like a hybrid between the product manager and somebody who might be in the field, but where they're building demos and showcasing like what a product can do. And that could be a good kind of transition for somebody who maybe come from like a solutions engineering or a customer support kind of background. But yeah, it's really like, what can you do in your current situation to get a little bit closer and to show that you can do the work and that you're really excited about it, and that you want, this is what you want for your career.
I will also say internally, ThousandEyes has always been very supportive of existing employees if they want to transition to another team, another department, another type of role. We've had tons and tons of situations where somebody in, customer success transitions into a product manager, somebody in the ops side, more on the system side transitions into software engineering. So definitely happens quite a bit. And from what I've seen, our managers work really well with that person to, while they're, in their current role, to kind of train them for some of the complementary skills that they will need in the role that they would be transitioning to. So yeah, it's happened quite a bit, and always really celebrated internally too.
Awesome. I think, the thing to leave everyone with is, exactly why we enjoy and why we love working at ThousandEyes, and being able to share that with the broader audience. And so I'll kind of start, and we'll love to hear from everyone on the panel too. But I think for me, it's really multifaceted, and Mike covered this really well, of being able to have that work-life balance, but being able to make an impact as you're in a startup. I think from the work perspective, no ideas get shot down. And so I think that's part of what makes ThousandEyes great, is we are bringing on folks who are innovative, who want to make a difference, who want to make an impact. And even today, after the acquisition, we're really able to be innovative and creative on every team. And so I think being at a company where there's a lack of micromanagement, everyone is hired for a reason and hired to do a job. And I think putting full trust into that individual to come up with those ideas and push things forward, that holds true across the entire company. And so I think that's what I really enjoy about the work side. And I think the personal side too. I think this group is a great indication, but more broadly speaking, everyone's just really enjoyable to work with on a professional level, on a personal level. I think at a lot of companies I've worked at, it's been very transactional. And especially in today's day and age where folks are remote, you don't really get to know anything about them. I think everyone at ThousandEyes on each individual team, and then cross-functionally, really goes about it the right way of understanding and being able to know someone on a personal level. And so being able to see kind of what that person's like outside of work, asking them questions and really being curious. And I think that's a testament to the culture of being able to build something collectively as a group that you enjoy working with, and doing things, or possibly doing things outside of work with, as you kind of would in your daily life if you weren't fully remote. So I'll kind of leave it at that for myself, and pass it on to Lulu if you want to give your answer.
Yeah, sure. I think especially as a product manager, it's like really important to work with like other people who are also collaborative and willing to kind of come together to make the product better. And I think that always makes like a product manager's experience much more enjoyable. So I really love that about ThousandEyes, and I will hand it off to Mike.
Right, mine's going to come back to hopefully not an echo, but opportunity really. So there, we're doing things pretty darn well over here, but there's always these little pockets of opportunities where we could be doing things better, where we could improve the products that we have, where we can improve internal processes, where maybe there's a new library or piece of technology that we could be using. Maybe you just have great ideas, that could be valuable to the company. So just that we're always, open ears to that. Again, like no idea is shut down. As Marshall said, like there's loads of opportunity to like grow into an area, to really build something in it, and to establish yourself and like growing a skill that you wanted to grow along with that, and kind of building a presence within the company. So it's been really cool, just a really nice time to be able to like marry opportunity and value with ThousandEyes as a platform, and having amazing people behind it. So I'll say, like, I started this working group as an example, and I actually had to turn down volunteers to join because there were going to be way too many people. So it's really cool to see that kind of thing. People are excited to help out and to join on to, awesome and impactful initiatives. And I'll pass it to America.
Yeah, for me, I think I really enjoy the work that we do. And like everybody else has mentioned, just the culture. We really have that like cross-functional across different teams, and just being able to, I feel like ThousandEyes has that really like mentorship type of mentality. You can always find like a mentor within ThousandEyes wherever you want to go, and they just fully support. And like everyone has said, your ideas are heard, and nobody's really afraid to bring them to the table. And having that type of environment is great. And I'll pass it on to Gwen.
I knew that was coming. So a few things here. So what I really enjoy, so just a quick background. So I worked for a few startups back in Seattle, as well as some very large enterprises. And it really, I know Mike kind of reiterated this earlier, but it truly is the best of both worlds. I know we're almost at 1,000 employees now, but it still feels very much like a startup culture. And, you know, if I need to get in touch with a VP of product or whomever, there's always quick to respond. And I truly do appreciate that. And that just goes back to, you know, team collaboration across all levels. And then on a lighthearted note, I have a newfound obsession with the color orange. So, so everybody gets a ton of ThousandEyes swag, which I'm very passionate about as well. So, and that's, I think that's the same sentiment across the board. So, Steve?
Yeah, for sure. So I've been with ThousandEyes for many years. One of the reasons I joined on, you know, at least on the product side of things, is when I was doing research about ThousandEyes while interviewing, it definitely seemed like, you know, there weren't a lot of competitors in this space that were doing things like what ThousandEyes was doing. And it's continued on. It's been really fun working for a company that's doing really fun stuff on the product side, and really growing the product in really interesting ways. And my favorite part of my job on the recruiting side and talking to engineers is really talking to them about our great culture, our great product, getting them excited about potentially working at ThousandEyes and the great engineering, you know, environment we've created, and all these other folks have echoed so far. So yeah, it's been a joy, and it's really the product and the people that make it fun here.
Amazing. Well, I think from all of us, we certainly appreciate everyone who's able to attend, and hopefully this was able to shed light on day-to-day and some of the experiences, and answer a few of your questions. And I know America shared a slide on this, but we're all accessible on LinkedIn. And if you want to chat with one of us or all of us, definitely reach out. And I think from a recruiting perspective too, one of our goals is, even if we don't have the right fit at ThousandEyes, we want to help as many people as possible, whether that's career advice, pointing you in the right direction. And I think that holds true across the board. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions at all, even if it's unrelated to ThousandEyes. And we'll always be happy to kind of help guide you along in the right direction, answer any of those questions, anything that you need. So again, appreciate the time, everyone. And hopefully we hear from some of you soon.